we got the founders, we got the name. There's a problem we were going to fix now. Was it a smooth start? Where you guys are just kind of doing something and then money comes in? Do you guys fundraise? How was getting started with something like this?
Yeah, so actually, we took about a year to build a prototype, and then we launched the prototype, and then GigaOM picked it up and coined the word digital lifestyle aggregator or social network aggregator. So we actually the service that basically pioneered this movement at that time, social network aggregation. So that's kind of how we got started, and then we started to try to see if we can get some funding. Now, in 2006, 2007, that's pre the movie Social Network. So even if you, yeah, even if you have the Stanford pedigree, it's not an automatic guarantee. In fact, almost no company actually got funded just right out of college. In fact, we are one of the 2 or 3 startups that started right after college, right? So it wasn't that hot or that crazy back then. So we went for different VCs and all that stuff. At the end of the day, we are pre-revenue and we don't have a lot of users, so no one wants to fund us. So we have nothing against VCs. Some people call VCs venture capital. I have nothing against them. I don't call them vulture capitals. We simply couldn't get any, so we have to basically go to my parents for funding because there's no other alternatives.
Yeah, I mean it's a different story. It's a job, right? To be a VC, it's not like these are people's money that is their own they're giving, right? It's like these guys have a duty to get 10x somebody else's money, and that happens a lot. I think a lot of people, especially when there's something that you're thinking that is really good for the world, and then a VC tells you that's just not good for us, it kind of that's where that term comes from, but it's just a different job that they have to do.
Yeah.
Um,
And by
okay.
the way, a little anecdote. When we almost ran out of funding, I have to go to my parents another time. And I have to say, hey, dad, sorry, I'm a dad's son, kind of lost your money and things like that. And he said, first of all, when I gave it to you, I already written it off. Right. And later on, I realized that he actually didn't want to fund the company because he thought we should just get a real job and get real experiences because that's how much confidence he has in us. And it's actually my mom who actually convinced him to give us a shot because he said, hey, just do, your son is very passionate about this. Can you just support it? That kind of thing. So that's how much confidence people have in us. And but the second thing he actually told me at that time is the most important part. He said, success is actually not about how smart you are or whether you got to Ivy League schools. It's actually whether you can outlast the competitors.
Right,
And
but great.
yeah, exactly. So actually, we took that to heart, and then we didn't give up, and that's why we're here today.
Gotcha. And actually, my first startup, I did the same. I had to ask my parents for money, and I don't think that they really even grasp what it really was. It was, classic engineer-driven startup where like there's just super smart, but there's no real problem that it's fixing. It's just everyone's so excited about the tech. So when I presented to my parents, they were just like, I don't know what I'm looking at. And same concept of like, I support you because it's you, but I don't think this is really going to be anywhere. Uh, so I hear that. Okay, and so now let's kind of move on. So was this Spokeo at the time, or is this now we're kind of going into this idea is not really working out? We need to pivot, we need to change because you guys had to pivot at some point, right? Was that because of the recession?
Yeah, so we had to pivot in 2008 because the original idea of social network aggregator, what we realized is that it can get us on um, tech blogs and things like that. We got some traffic, but at the
Sure.
end of the day, no one wants to pay us to aggregate their own content, and the traffic's not big enough to actually monetize through ads. We actually tried the Google AdSense, and we were making $4 a day, like basically one Starbucks coffee for 4 of us. So yeah, it wasn't, even if like we optimize the ad displays and inventories and things like that. I mean, you can get 2 Starbucks coffee a day, right? So we realized we have to try something new. And that's why we actually use the same underlying technology, but actually pivoted to helping people find other people as opposed to helping people aggregating their own. And the difference is that people are willing to pay for other people's information, right? So
Yeah.
that's actually the main difference. So we were able to find that niche product market fit and grow from there. So we started as a social search engine, and then gradually we added more and more features, and eventually we launched the full-fledged people search engine in 2010, and that's when we really took off.
Got it. So this is a key element, right? The pivoting aspect. You guys are very data driven. Was this something that because you guys had the data in itself and you can see people coming in and out, whether we're using it, you had the idea into what you were going into, or is more like, okay, we need to change, and I think this is going to be a better decision. How do you guys like get to that point and deciding what to pivot into?
So our data capabilities and data analytics capabilities at that time wasn't that sophisticated. So at that time, there's only 4 or 6 of us at that time. So we didn't have crazy analytical systems and do things like what we're doing today or what you just described. So I was just basically searching and browsing around the web, thinking about, hey, what kind of monetization models are out there? And then I came across an ad on Google. I believe at that time is from Intellius, right? And then I realized that, oh, if there are companies willing and also being able to afford a pretty expensive cost per click for this kind of keywords, then they must have a way to monetize it. So we start studying their monetization, their user flows, and things like that. And that's how we actually, at that time, we have 3 choices to go to leverage our underlying technology to go into 3 potential markets. So one of them is people search engine. The other one is social media analytics, kind of like Hootsuite. Um, and then the last one is reputation management. And eventually we pick people search engine because the market and the volume in terms of users is the greatest.
Okay. And then when we say product market fit, then okay, you get to an idea at this point, and you know you want to go for this. Sorry, this is really going up. How then do you decide? Okay, this is going to work, and people are going to pay me for this. Or do you guys actually get in the validation because of the market? People were actually paying you for this, or do you guys make the decision beforehand and thought, hey, now we can do this?
So we put out a very quick paywall, right? And then we leverage PayPal at that time because the PayPal integration is the easiest. So we quickly put out the paywall, and then we were studying different competitors' flows, right? And then the price points and things like that. So we just quickly put up a payment page and start putting the content behind the paywall and see whether people would pay for it. And actually, people do. So that's when we realized that, hey, we were able to actually find a product market fit, right? And then even though it's a very small product market fit, but then at the very least, we sense that there's something there. And that's when we start scaling and start trying to scale this product, right, to a greater extent. Because previously, when we were using the app model, the numbers will never work out because when your base is only $4 a day, even if you triple it, you're talking about $12 a day, right? So the unit economics just doesn't work. Whereas when you're doing the pay model, we saw the unit economics actually start making sense.